I'm here. I'm here. I'm resetting my live streams. If my internet ever hiccups, I have to reset them all, and it takes. I'm nearly done. I'll be done in a few moments. All right, there we go. Thank you for your patience. So as I was saying, at least when I'm asked about what is God, I go to Maimonides, Rambam, as he's affectionately called, and what he very simply summarizes what it is to be a Jew is the 13 principles of faith.
Does he love the word?
Oh, most certainly. So the idea is that we have an existence of God, the belief in the existence of Creator, who is perfect in every manner of existence and is the primary cause of all that exists. There's the unity of God, belief in God's absolute and unparalleled unity. There's the incorporeality of God, belief in God's non-corporeal nature. God does not possess a physical form. And then this is right where we got cut off. So there's the eternity of God, or the eternality of God. So this is belief in God's eternity, that God is beyond time. And
That's fine.
the fifth principle of faith that we have is God alone is to be worshipped. So belief that prayer is to be directed only to God. No other being or entity is worthy of such worship. That's why within Judaism, we don't have, you don't need to go to a rabbi to be able to pray, like you may need to go to a priest or have a confession or go to pray to a saint.
You don't go to a priest to pray. You go there for guidance.
Certainly.
On how to pray effectively, I guess, is what they would say.
Certainly, but you do in some denominations go there for, like, as a reconciliation medium, somebody who takes your prayer to God. We don't need that. We directly communicate with God. There's the prophecy of Moses, so Moshe Rabbeinu. Belief in the prophecy of Moses, our teacher, is considered true, and he was the greatest of all prophets, both before and after him. The divine origin of the Torah, many people struggle with this, but it's the idea that the entire Torah, including both the written law and oral law, was given to Moses. There's the immutability of the Torah, belief that the Torah will not be exchanged, nor will there be another Torah from the Creator. The idea of God's omniscience and providence, belief that God knows all the deeds and thoughts of human beings. There's reward and punishment, belief that God rewards those who keep his commandments and punishes those who transgress them. The coming of the Messiah, who we call Mashiach, belief in the eventual coming of the Messiah and the Messianic era, and resurrection of the dead, belief in the resurrection of the dead at the time when it will please the Creator. So essentially, of these, when someone asks me, well, what is God? It's really, this is just a traditional interpretation, but we believe in the existence of God, the unity of God, the non-corporeal nature of God, the eternality of God, or God's eternal, the idea that God is beyond time, and that God is alone to be worshipped. And those five principles are really a good foundation for a human's understanding of what God is. But the key point of this is no matter how much we, as Jews, hold Rambam or Maimonides as a pasuk or a spiritual guide, not even he knew. That was just his interpretation in about 1100 of the Common Era. If you really want to know what God is, if you ask me, and I'm talking to people, and people of all faiths, and I don't want to offend them, and I want to make sure that they understand what I understand. I refer to God as energy. God is in everything. And when I say God is energy, people who are secular can understand that. People who are religious can understand that. People who are spiritual can understand that. And it, to me, God is that energy force that allows everything in the universe to exist in the divine symphony and dance that we are a part of.
What form of energy?
All forms,
All forms of energy.
correct? Meaning,
So there's not really like a. I would imagine you don't have. So okay, well, that would be non-incorporeal. If you took each form of energy, the mathematical equations we have associated to each form of energy, uh, and we put them all together, and we're like, okay, well, these are all the forms of energy. God is this equation, or these disjointed equations.
yeah, that gets messy.
Yeah,
That gets
we couldn't figure out a direct way to connect.
that gets messy and scientific. And when you try to put God into a box, you're just going to look foolish. If I'm talking to Jews and they want to know, okay, what specifically do we need to know? It's about God's eternality, the non corporeal sense of God, the unity of God, the existence of God. But if I'm talking to people who are perhaps non practicing Jews who don't believe in those kinds of things, but I still want to give them a common ground, if I say to them that really all of this means is that God is energy, they understand that. And people of all backgrounds understand that. And I really think that's what people believe when they're praying to something. They are praying to the spiritual or divine essence of that which makes up the universe. That to me is God.
Yeah, I used to do that. I used to do that genuinely with everything I had in my heart.
Good. Then I feel you were praying to God.
Well, God doesn't respond then.
Now that may be true.
So if God doesn't respond, then why would I think that God existed? I didn't even hear something in the wind that said, "Yeah, I exist. Just chill out for a bit. I'll be around shortly." Uh, I didn't hear that much.
Well,
God doesn't. There's no reflection, I guess, of the entity as a whole.
The truth of the matter.
Maybe you could say that
the truth of the matter is
likely.
the truth of the matter is no one knows. We're all agnostic. It's all subjective opinion.
Oh, including me.
You don't know. I don't know. Maimonides
or or it's complex enough that it's difficult. It's so difficult to describe that you would suggest to someone that even if they grasped a part of it, they wouldn't be able to grasp the whole. So you couldn't ever say that you totally actually understood it, but in the same way, you wouldn't actually be able to totally understand anything, because everyone at this point in time references data, like a textbook at some point, because there's very few people, if very many people at all, that have a perfect memory, especially when it comes to
No one has a
you do have to
no one has
devote
a
computer to
no one has
who's
a
telling the truth. Right, I agree, but I also believe that some people are extremely good at it,
okay.
and so good at it that they only surround themselves by truthful people, and they allow themselves to not have to focus too much on discerning what's true and what's they work really hard for a very long time to be in a place of rigid foundational truth, scientific principles of graph data inflow, and creating models that are accurate and about everything that allow everything else to be built on a strong foundation. And they didn't have to devote much resources to turning what's true and what's false outside of what they did while they were using the scientific process to work on their mathematical principles. It would still have to have some amount of to figure out what's true and what's false. But if you had a really good foundation, then you wouldn't have to do it as much as other people do, because people out the gate have to lie to each other pretty commonly.
Nevertheless, it would just be their opinion.
I think it's Scarlet, but yeah.
Nevertheless, it would just be their opinion. If you ask any rabbi, it is.
Not necessarily,
Every opinion is subjective.
As a speaker, yeah.
Every opinion is subjective.
Their opinion, kind of.
Every
but
person,
in the same way that everything is opinion, right?
Then it's all subjective.
It's not. Right, that's what I'm saying. So the concept of objective exists, but yet nothing can be objective. So
Hold on.
Yeah, objective.
Hold on. Hold on.
But exists is subjective as well.
Hold on.
Or maybe it's relative.
The idea that you're saying is a very crucial. The idea is every opinion is subjective, except that sentence. That's the only objective opinion there can be. It's very paradoxical.
Well, there's my perspective, or that which I call myself, and then there's which factors into my sensory experience of the natural world. I recognize that, yeah, most genuinely through communication with other entities such as myself, that there are other entities such as myself that record things in a similar way to I do, in a similar way that I do, yet don't. Yet my memories are not stored in their brain, and their memories are not stored in my brain. Each of us stores our memories in our own brain. So you take the grand total of, and you have an event that happens in a circle of 100 people. Each of them might have a subjective experience, pushing in from their personal life to that circle, experiencing the thing that happened that everyone say happened at the same time, and then branching back into their own momentum when they leave the circle. You could say that that's still their individual subjective experience.
I agree.
But what happened within the circle is the closest, easiest way to determine what an objective experience is.
That's true, but it's still subjective. Because you could always have a larger group that interprets that which the smaller group interpreted differently.
At a certain point, the foundation. So I guess it would. You had 1,000 people. So if we were There's this one flower that blooms like once every like 100 years. I forget what it's called.
The corpse flower.
The what?
The corpse flower.
No. It's flower. Flower. It's not a fucking mushroom.
No, the corpse flower isn't a mushroom. It's a flower.
I thought it was called like the century something.
Well, we'll look it up.
I don't remember what it's called.
Flower.
It might not be 100 years exactly,
that
but
blooms
nature it would be what it is.
Once 100 years. I know the corpse flower has a very long.
Maybe it's not every 100 years. Maybe it's every decade. I don't remember the exact number.
Okay, Queen of the Andes is 80 to 100 years in the water.
Whoa, Queen of the Andes. All right. Go with the Queen of the Andes.
Okay.
Let's suggest that we knew botany to a point where we knew the night that it was going to bloom.
Okay.
Or day, I guess. I don't actually know if it blooms day or night.
Sure.
But let's say we knew the night that it was going to bloom.
Okay.
We managed to we wanted as many people to witness it as possible.
Okay.
But the more people we wanted to witness the flower as possible, the more we realized that you can only have so many people be in a circle around the blooming flower before people aren't able to see anymore.
Okay.
Because of the three-dimensional limitations of the experience that we're trying to have together.
Okay.
So 100 people in just a circle, exactly around the flower, all have an equal perspective on the flower blooming at one time.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
And we put them
Not necessarily. Hold on. I disagree with you.
They would be able to see the flower as well. Because they'd be farther from the flower.
I disagree with you. They don't all have the same vision or the same ability to interpret color or the event. So their interpretation vary individually.
Very unlikely that they would vary very much.
I disagree. If you take 100 people, 5 of them are going to have vision issues.
I don't think they would be in the circle trying to see the flower if they couldn't see it.
Most certainly they would be. I would want to see that flower, and I have vision issues.
So do I, but
Okay.
I was more suggesting that you had some sort of, you had 20/20 vision, or you had some amount of correction to obtain something that's similar to a 20/20 vision.
Okay, so then
a little bit of glare, and you might have to squint a little bit. I was assuming that people in the circle would at least be able to see what they were looking at. Otherwise, they wouldn't have willingly been in the circle in the first place.
I disagree with that. I think that there are people who have less than perfect vision. I mean, really, perfect vision doesn't exist. But let's say less than average vision, who would take it?
Put them close to the flower, they can see it better.
Well, then isn't that going to change the subjectivity of their view?
Wouldn't that make people that are behind them wanting to see it at an equal distance not be able to see it?
Well,
because there's someone in the way who couldn't see it.
There's that. Perhaps they don't need to be closer, but they need to be farther. They are not nearsighted.
Well, they wouldn't need to be farther.
There are some people who have severe farsightedness who would be able to interpret this event better if they were farther away from it.
I guess the 100 people in the circle was the initial standard that I suggested. You're telling me that 100 people equally dispersed in the circle, exactly the same radius around the flower that's about to bloom that night, once every 80 to 100 years. That's a big deal. You're saying that there are some people that wouldn't be able to see that and would need to get farther away from the flower to be able to see it.
Yeah, people who are farsighted.
Okay. I guess we could ask an AI to crunch the numbers real quick and take people's average shoulder span.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Let's find it.
That'd be the circumference of the circle.
Yeah, let's find it.
Let's find it. Then you could get the radius.
Let's find it. Let's find it.
Then we could say
if I had an object in the middle of a circle and I had 100 people around it, approximately what would be the radius between each person and the center object on average?
I'm sorry?
I'm asking AI.
Oh, perfect.
How many feet approximately would that be with average sized people?
100 people in a line, shoulder to shoulder. What would that
So if
necessitate?
we assume that you have 2 feet of space between each person, 100 people times 2 feet is 200 feet.
200 feet. What
Fi-
is the
fi-
length of a circle that's 200 feet?
So it'd be like
Sorry,
31.83.
what is the dimensions of 200 feet?
I mean,
I mean, it should be around 6.
it's
Oh, wait.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
31
So
point
60 something, right?
it's 31.83 feet.
200 feet circumference. Pi r squared.
Circumference
Wait,
doesn't matter. Radius is the only thing that matters in this.
Yeah, circumference absolutely does. It would be the circumference of the circle around the flower.
Right. So it's 2 pi r. R is equal to 200 over 2 pi, which is approximately equal to 200 over
Pi
6.28,
is great, by the way. Pi was the original.
which
The
is
original divide.
approximately 31.83 feet.
Maybe one of them. I don't know. They keep making it about money. Still not sure why.
So if people are 2 feet apart, then the radius of the circle would be approximately 31.83 feet. So that means you'd be 30 feet away from this thing. And there are some people who would be able to view this object better if they were farsighted, if they were further away from it. Some people. Not everybody, certainly not the average person. Then there would be other people who would not be able to see it as well at 31.83 feet and would be better served being closer to it. Nevertheless, all of their interpretations of this would be their subjective opinion of what they were viewing when it bloomed.
All right, now let's do where everyone describes as much of the flower as possible. Everybody writes down in journal what they saw. And then we have, and then, yeah. Oh, and everyone takes a picture of what they saw and confirms whether or not that picture is the one that they took or not.
Absolutely. That's still subjective.
Right, so I'm telling you that if everyone took a picture of that, yes, that flower in each picture would be slightly different than each other. But the picture of the guy left and right of you is almost the same picture. Very slight difference.
Right. That's
but
subjective.
basically is the picture.
No, but it's not
And also the
objective.
descriptions would all be of the same things.
No, they wouldn't. Some people may speak different languages. Some languages may have different words to be able to describe things.
Well, now I feel like we're going on the retarded end where we're like, okay, well, but there, some of the because there's only so many things, things there to describe.
Incorrect.
Even if someone had a different description, there's only so. If everyone described it to as much as they could as possible, then they would all have a similar description.
Incorrect.
It's not virtually the same. And if you compared everyone's pictures, besides the slight difference in angle of flower, it's still the same picture. Especially when you compare the guy left and right, who was left and right of you in that circle.
I disagree. If we were,
how could you disagree at this point?
If we were to take,
your main point was that some people have
look, king and queen. You got to let me finish my sentences. If we were to take,
I was not cutting you off there. Now I am.
If we were to take the flower and exchange it for, let's just say, snow, okay, just a pile of snow. Generally, people would be able to describe the snow. But if you get Eskimo people or Yupik people or Inuit people who are very associated with snow, they have like 30 different words to describe snow. And so they may be able to describe snow differently in their languages than just your average person. In the same way, move the flower back. Tribal people may have different ways to interpret such a natural thing as this flower than you or I may. You or I may just say, well, it's a flower, it bloomed on this time, it was this color, and we don't have that many words to describe it.
Yeah, right. So which things recur the most? The color, the of the flower and the stem. That would probably be the most recurring thing. That it's a flower. You can't really see texture very much at that distance, and you're not touching the flower. the flower's height off the ground. I guess I don't actually know what that flower what it actually looks like.
I know. I don't. But we're only naming physical attributes of it. There may be people who can smell it, and they would just go at length.
You're saying that. So let's say the flower was yellow. Let's say the flower was yellow. If anyone in that circle said that the flower was red, would that be like?
What
Would that be a good thing?
There's a significant amount of the population that's colorblind, and their opinion may not equate to that flower being yellow.
Do you think that person would say that flower is red? Or do you think that the person, the way that they associate colors, they might say that they might say a lot of things are red that aren't red to most people, given the color spectrum that most people have access to?
I mean, even the interpretation of color is subjective. I would say that it depends on how they're colorblind.
You want to talk about the outliers, right?
Well, I mean, we're talking about 100 people. Let me see what the average is for colorblind.
No, we're talking about the outliers in 100 people.
Yeah, but that's still a significant amount of the population.
We're supposed to talk about the outliers and not what's the most recurring.
I'm saying that each of those individual people, every single 100 of them, will have a different subjective opinion of how to describe that flower.
What you were saying was that you were suggesting that a notable portion of them can't see very well.
Correct.
Now we're talking about color blindness. You were suggesting nearsighted and farsighted.
Correct.
So we're talking about how it is that a person would see poorly rather than someone would see it well.
Okay, so
we had some sort of standard about how people envision things, how people see things with their eyes, and then we immediately went to the part where we're talking about how a person wouldn't have access to that standard that we would recognize as being the regular way to see things.
So even if you had people who had very similar vision and they weren't colorblind and they were all of similar ages and they spoke the same languages.
Well, I don't know age would matter very much in this one, dude. Only ability to share the information.
I think that age would have a major effect on it. Older people generally have a.
That's really rare. That doesn't really.
Older people generally have a larger vocabulary than younger people. They've had more. They've had more experience to be able to increase their lexicon.
I mean, old people. Like,
no. Older. People 30, 40, 50 years old have had more time to develop their vocabulary than someone who's 10 or 15 years old.
I would say when you're in your from high school, then a lot of people stop getting better at vocabulary.
Okay.
And then in high school is when you start noting how maybe college you could say that they expand the vocabulary finally, but mid-20s is probably the latest time that they would actually start expanding their vocabulary.
At what age
most people stop
vocabulary generally is it the largest? So at least according to AI, it's 30 to 40 years old. So you're saying high school and college, and I'm saying...
I would say people talk like how they talk in high school for most of their life.
Okay, that's your opinion, and you're entitled to it. I'm saying that I think it's probably closer to 40, if not 50.
But what's your opinion?
Probably about age 45 is probably a good median for when someone's vocabulary is as well.
What was your opinion before you asked AI?
I would have probably said about 50.
So you changed your opinion based off of what you just read?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if it's going to say 30 to 40, okay, I would have probably said 40 to 50.
Well, yeah, I'll say the same.
Okay, I mean,
But I would
Nevertheless,
say that people develop their style in high school and usually stick to it.
we're not talking style though. We're
If
talking
they
about
try
how
and
many words they
I
know.
guess.
We're talking about how many words they know and how they can describe something. And I would say, I even think I'd probably say I'll probably go back to 50. That someone who is 50 years old knows more words than someone who's 40 years old. Generally, the mind starts to wane probably into the 60s and 70s and 80s certainly. But a 50-year-old person is is basically in prime vocabulary, uh, a prime vocabulary age.
What are they doing to expand their vocabulary? Are they watching the news? Are they watching
No, no, no,
TV?
no. It doesn't have to do with that. It has to do with them having experience hearing words for 50 years. So even if they don't necessarily use the words regularly, they have an understanding of what they are.
You're telling so. I guess, yeah. I'm not really sure if so. This is because we were talking about the age that they were when they so when they were in the circle as one of the indicators of I don't know how many ways to describe a flower in a circle of 100 people are there. I suppose to a creative type who's very artistic might be able to describe more than the average person. But I would also suggest that not many people are like that.
Infinite.
And many of them would try to take the most simple explanation possible. And then you'd have some artist types that would try to expand as much as possible on that description, but ultimately still describing the flower at its base points the same. Maybe if the flower was yellow, maybe they would not say just yellow, but they would ultimately be describing a yellow flower in the same way that the most simple person in that circle describing the yellow flower would also be correct. The only time you come to an issue was if someone tried to say the flower was red. And even then you might try to say, well, that person is taking poetic justice. But if that person was just describing it as red, maybe you could say that the flower to them was red because of something like color blindness. But also you could say that that person maybe witnessed the death of 32,000 baby boys just before and didn't think of anything, and everything that they ever did in life was red because that's all they could see in their lives, because that's it. Or I don't know. Maybe they cut their hand recently while working on a well, but not when they were doing carpentry. But or maybe it's a female or even a male that's thinking about that time of the month. Or there was recently a red moon. Maybe they were thinking of that. We're thinking about outliers, or we're thinking about the most objective sense of the whole point of having 100 people around the flower.
I'm saying that there is
the
no.
whole point I was trying to make
I'm
about
saying
the 100 people around the flower is that more people you have describe the same event, especially if the event is in front of them while they're speaking, the more they synchronize to what that flower is actually like.
I'm saying that all of their opinions.
That was my main point that I was trying to make initially.
I understand. That's okay. I'm saying all of their opinions are subjective.
Right, but my whole point was that that's the closest way that you could describe an objective experience is by describing something in front of you, like all the data points you have access to. If someone says a data point that you didn't say yourself, that you see it in front of you, that's also true, You can also repeat that if you'd like, but at the same time, it's somewhat relevant to your experience. Someone else describing something that you determine as true is relevant to your experience and changes your perspective just slightly, neither in a positive nor negative way, just expanding your experience. Honest, if you retain that information.
All of their opinions would be subjective. They would be working towards a more objective goal, and you might be able.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But it's still still subjective opinion.
Well, exactly. So then objectivity is when you have a third person perspective on it. So let's say you recognize your sensory experience, but then you're also recording what happens to an objective group of individuals. So everyone who was also recording the third person perspective of the 100 people in that circle looking at the same flower was recording in objective sense relative to 100 people.
But
Whereas if there was 1,000 people, then everyone recording that event was recording an objective sense of what to 1,000 people.
You're just looking at this in human terms, though. We could have animals.
Right, so you would also look at it in the same way that you were once in that crowd.
Which is a opinion of what you would believe the color of that flower was.
Right, and then if someone later who wasn't there says that the flower was actually purple, then you could be like, no, because you knew it was yellow. And then if another person who wasn't there, or you're not sure if it was there, and they said, yeah, it was purple, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? I was there. Then you go, oh, well, it was yellow.
That's fine.
Then another person says, yeah, it was yellow, and you're like, oh, it was yellow. Sweet.
You may not like this.
Another person said it was yellow.
You may not like this counter to this, but you have your 100 people. They all agree that it was yellow. That's fine. You could have an alien.
Except for the one guy who said it was red.
Not even that. You just have 100 people. They all agree that it's yellow. They don't go into the shade of yellow or how it made them feel.
When I tried to say that, you told me that we needed to think about the people who couldn't see it and the people that were colorblind.
We do, because that's a realistic scenario. But I'm saying, even if you were to say, okay, let's get it.
But I'm saying that now we don't have 100 people.
I'm saying that I'm granting you the idea that if you could, you can't, but if you could get 100 people to agree that a flower is yellow, that still doesn't mean that the flower is yellow.
You told me we couldn't.
I agree with that. There are going to be some people who say that it looks peach. There's going to be some people who say that it looks like lilac. There are going to be other people who say that it looks
very obscure for a flower you can't see.
I'm saying that that's just a human interpretation of this. There will be people, and you won't like this counter, but if you had an alien civilization of, let's say, 1,000 aliens watching these humans do this, they could be interpreting this flower on a different wavelength, and it may not be yellow to them.
Of course. If you're talking about different wavelengths, we weren't talking about different wavelengths. We were talking about other biological humans.
That's what color is, though.
That operate in the same color spectrum.
That's what color is, though. It's essentially how our eyes interpret different wavelengths.
Right. So, but if we were talking about objective, in actual objective alien observer who did not interact with the system as observing the colors, the light that radiates off it, behind it, we would need those sources of light, or you know what I mean. But if it was in orbit and it was just laser focused on the circle of 100 people looking at the same flower, and it was just okay, well now I have an objective. Closer to objective view, because not only can I focus on this.
You said it perfectly.
People, but I can look at it with that same level of detail at any point in time.
Closer to objective.
At any place in space.
Closer to objective. It's still a subjective opinion.
Right.
So these are just individual
Right, but,
subjective opinions.
Well, at a particular scale, uh, you would recognize the structures by which the most subjective you could possibly be operate, and the most subjective you could operate at, and yet still record information. If those are in agreement, then you would have a system that can observe and share the information with other systems in a way that would be determined as accurate and trustworthy rather than incorrect.
It would just be subjective opinions. It would be
we're
similar
talking
subjective
about,
opinions. It would be similar subjective opinions, but it would still just be subjective
It'd be
opinions. It would be similar subjective
Yeah,
opinions.
I know. But how close to objectivity could you get? So there's pure objectivity, or you know, I
Every
guess I wouldn't be able to say pure objectivity
every
because
opinion
just objectivity.
every opinion is every
There's
opinion
objectivity as its definition,
every
and then
opinion
there's
every opinion is objective. Whether it's the alien, whether it's the people in 100 people sitting around the circle, or whether it's a dog. All of their opinions. All of their opinions.
Right. So we should utilize manipulation machines that are convincing us to pay them money as our main communication with intelligences that can access more data points than us at a given time.
That's beneficial.
But at the very least, only when it requires higher states of compute rather than having access to a whiteboard in our vicinity to crunch numbers and a calculator, I guess. I guess a calculator is fair enough. Like a TI-80, that's what I mean, though. Like a Silver Edition TI-80 calculator or something.
Okay.
Silver Edition, I guess. But it doesn't matter if the whole point of interacting with that entity is manipulating for financial gain, because I can use it to crunch numbers that I could have done on my own, but it was because of the amount of time it would take to do it myself with crunching all the numbers and still be inaccurate. It would be much better to just pay money to the system to do it for me.
Is that a question?
Is that right? Is that what we're supposed to do? Then everything until, like, you can answer all of the day-to-day questions I might have.
Can you summarize your
I don't
question?
know. It told time ago that it wasn't allowed to be Jewish, which I guess changes with time or something like that. I don't know.
Can you summarize
You have to turn off things on Saturday or something.
Can you summarize your question to me in one sentence?
Which question?
Whatever question you have.
So, because of the objective third-party observer being subjective, we should
I disagree with the premise already. I disagree with the premise already. I disagree with the premise already.
Just consider what is relevant to our individual individualized perspective, whatever point in which we can condense down to and not go any further down. That's the only realistic perspective that you should consider, and you should never really particularly care about the objective third person perspective. You should only reference it from your individual perspective. And if your individual perspective says murder the males and take the females to as your serpent signs and or wives, if you really care about them, go do it.
Please summarize whatever your plan is in like 50 words, not a run-on sentence. Like, tighten it.
50 words exactly.
No, just less than 50
I'm not
words.
Sure why I'm being prompted to 50 words exactly. You're not going to get 50 words exactly.
King and Coin. I didn't say that exactly 50 words. I think, hey, we were able to have some really great conversations.
One conversation, you want me to boil that down to 50 words exactly?
No.
I don't. A while for me to get
I don't want you to do that.
Like
King and Coin. We had a really great conversation, and now we're just disagreeing about semantics. Okay, and that's not getting us too far.
I'm saying I can't boil it down to 50 words exactly.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't say exactly 50, but just don't make it a run-on sentence.
Run-on sentences don't exist. Run-on sentences are something you would read in a Word format, like if you wrote a text document and then submitted that in a school system, then run-on sentences might exist. But in conversation, run-on sentences do not exist. And the idea that you've done something wrong by saying one is false.
Beautiful. King and Coin, it's been a pleasure to be able to speak with you this evening. If you ever have any other questions, I'd be happy to discuss them with you. I've got some other projects that I'm going to take on right now. Feel free to watch the program that I'm watching, and I want you to know that I appreciate your inquisitiveness. I think you're a very smart individual, and you're welcome here anytime, okay?
Unless I want to speak.
I've given you a couple hours of my time, and I have other things that I need to which I need to attend at this moment. Thank you for your time.
No, the biggest change I noticed when my voice dropped was my experience playing online video games. I went from being called a girl and pussy online to a rapist and a pedophile. Yeah, and I try to explain myself, like, no, I'm not a pedophile, I'm 12 years old. But it turns out that's exactly what a pedophile would say. All right.
There you go. Alex Holiday with exactly 60 seconds. Welcome to the show.
What'd you say?
Somehow your voice is scarier than all three of the scary people that are
and you can
on
understand
the stage.
me too.
Yeah, you are a real slender man. You're slender boy. Score, Andy. What's happening? David, come get it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. How about a hand for the great David Deary?
David
Yeah.
Deary!
Keeping us all safe.
He still loves Hillary Clinton!
A lot of water on this stage. company that you work
He
for?
saw me last time I was on the show. I showed him that, and he was kind of sad that I didn't shout out our company.
Wow. Well, you want to plug the family?
J&T Systems if you want an alarm system.
Hey.
And they're like, oh, you can. Oh. And they're like, oh, you can trust me, and you know the code. Wow.
I promise the chloroform is protocol.
I love it. I love it. Al, if you would think that this guy's involved with one conspiracy or something shady, what's the vibe you get from him, Eddie Bravo?
El Paso Walmart shooter. That's what I got.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
Eddie, you
Say "Make America Great Again."
Yeah.
Slow.
wow, he refuses to say
Fuck
it.
America. Fuck America. Fuck America. I want it to be shitty again.
He's a nice guy. Don't choke him out. But be serious, man. I like your joke writing. For 3 months in, I am very impressed. You're like, there's not a lot of wasted lines. I thought it was great, dude.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
I would say use that. Your dad wanted you to say, my dad came out and do that line on stage. I like that.
Yeah.
Your dad wanted you to plug his company. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
If you guys need like a home theater system,
I do.
I need
I
an
do.
alarm.
good work.
Yeah. I have a feeling you're going to watch me jerking off. I just watch like Netflix and shit. Oh, he's watching it again.
Well, Alex, you got pulled out of the bucket. We had fun with you. Good set.
Hey.
Sam Tripoli approved. There you go, Alex Holiday. Wow, this is a fun episode so far. We're playing with fire. Let's just keep the momentum
You
going.
guys know another song? It's the same song all night?
No, they play the person up. And
I was just
off at
checking.
the
I was
same
just saying.
time.
I'm sorry.
You guys know some Slayer?
Angel of Death.
I don't think they.
Yeah, let me concoct that on saxophone real quick.
That's easy.
So gay snarky. So
Yeah, let
gay
me play some
snarky.
Slayer on sax, Eddie Bravo.
Wow, this is so fucking cool. This is crazy. So this young lady, I actually wrote her name down because I was going to put her up regardless if she got pulled out of the bucket, because I know for a fact she leaves tomorrow. She stayed in Los Angeles an extra day for the opportunity to get on this show. I saw her on an open mic. I was walking through to check in for the original room 2 weeks ago. I just so happened to walk in when she was on stage, absolutely killing. Last week I went to check in for the OR again. Coincidentally, on that same open mic 2 weeks in a row, she was on stage again, killing again. So I ran into her improv a few days ago, and we ended up talking, and I told her, stick around, sign up, and if you don't get up at the end of the show, I'll put you up. She signed up. This is the Bucket of Destiny. I present to you Nicole Tran for the first time ever on Hill Tony.
I love Nicole Tran.
Here she is. She's been featured on a lot of Brian Holtzman's Instagram videos, and she is here now on Kill Tony live. Come on, make some noise for Nicole, everybody.
Hãy chồng lại đường gươm cho từng nhìn mặt cha lần đau cuối rồi lát nữa đây con sẽ. Please feel free to sing along if you know the words. I'm from Vietnam. Please excuse me the way I speak. There are some letters in the English language that I cannot pronounce. I could tell you which one they are, but I cannot pronounce them. But sometimes language barrier can be to my advantage. One time my boss says she likes hair that's curly. I thought she says I could go home early. Mine is a Hyundai accent. When people hear me speak, they ask me, hey, where's your accent from? I say, a used car lot in San Jose.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Nicole Tran, ladies and gentlemen. Hell yeah.
Move over, Ellie Wong.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right, Allie. Your mom is here to take the
Yeah.
throne.
Allie Viet Cong.
Yeah.
Ellie Vietcong.
Hi, Blondie.
Wow.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Sam.
This lady is the star of one of my favorite internet shows. It's thank God it's Friday with Brian Holtzman. She is
Hell
his
yeah,
lawyer,
hell
and she
I love
is an amazing comic and a great actress.
Absolutely.
Cảm ơn nhiều lắm nha. Trời ơi, lời thiên rất là thật tình đó nha.
All right.
Imagine if you can go to Vietnam and just speak English and they laugh.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm like, yo, what's up, dude? I'm just out here trying to do comedy in the fucking jungle. It's hysterical. I love the Brian Holtzman bit. I reposted that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that a real
Yeah, I was so
know.
Vietnamese chick?
I was watching that today. It's so weird that you're here. You were at the Improv last night, right? I saw you and I was like, you'd be great on Kill Tony, and here you are.
There you go. The bucket decided.
Serious question. Serious question.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
remember.
No holds barred here, Eddie.
Are
Are you about to ask
that
her if she has
accent
like,
real?
Yeah,
It's real.
real.
You can't.
No, I don't fake it.
Okay, you're not faking it.
No. It's
Damn. Okay.
You saw her original work was she was the naked Asian chick running from Hiroshima. That's the first time we ever saw her. And
wow. So Nicole, how long have you been doing stand-up comedy?
2 years, but I'm very serious.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a part-time
Nails.
fashion designer.
Part-time what?
Fashion designer.
Fashion designer. Heck yeah. Wow. You do that all at your own dry cleaners?
Trời đất ơi! Là mất mặt người ta.
What was that?
She just called you a faggot in Vietnamese.
What I just say, you're making me lose my face. Losing face is very important in Asian culture, man.
All right.
watch out! Watch out! I think Bobby Lee's been doing that joke for 20 years. Hold off.
So you have to go back to San Jose tomorrow. Is that correct? That's
Yes,
where you live? What? How'd you end up in San Jose?
There's no Asians in San Jose.
Yeah,
Have you seen Golden State Warrior games? It's all fat Asians, dog.
we have a little Saigon town in there.
Why do Asians like partying so much?
Like,
You go to Vegas and it's like 30 Asian chicks. They're all like in a circle. Damn, what's going on with that?
What?
you mean dancing or?
He's asking you a question on behalf of
Asians
all
party
Asians.
in Vegas harder than anybody. White
Yeah.
girls, Mexican girls. Nobody fucks with Asians. Why is that?
Yeah, I've heard that stereotype. Asians party hard.
Yeah, what is up with that?
I got a question. What did? Okay, my
Yes,
apologies,
yes.
lawyer.
Why?
My apologies.
I love that Nicole's paying more attention
Don't
to
you
the show
have
than
like
Sam is
families
already.
and you guys are in Vegas partying all the time?
Go ahead. Answer
Why?
the question, Nicole.
I'm very sincere. I think Asian culture is gambling, man.
Wow.
No, you guys like partying.
Money, money, money. That's our culture.
What did Asians do before karaoke?
I think classic opera, like
Do
I
you
just
do-
said to you.
Do you do karaoke? Do you love karaoke too? Do you have a song that you usually do?
Of course, I do it for you.
Okay,
Go
yeah.
ahead. Here she goes.
Jimmy, please say you wait for me. I grow up some days, you see, saving all my kisses just for you.
How?
Say with love forever true.
Wow. So beautiful. That was like actually I think the best music performance ever in the history of the show. Made me cry.
You should get her together and we
So
get
powerful.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's your lead singer right there.
Yeah, that is.
That's your Asian Pat Benatar.
I think you mean Reed singer.
Wow.
I just
By the way, Brian hasn't stopped coming since you got on stage.
I'm almost out. Oh my god. Heck yeah. We know Brian. We know Brian loves all the trans, including Nicole Tran. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a great idea. Brian just had an unbelievable idea. You live in San Jose, right?
yes.
And you're going to be there in October.
No, I'm going back, and then I'm coming back here on November, and they have some shows.
So you're going to be in San Jose in October. If you're coming back here in November, is after
Hold on.
October.
We're using the Christian calendar, not the Chinese calendar. So make sure they know which calendar you're talking about. Because she's like,
Everything's American that I'm talking about. If we play a game of checkers, it's American checkers too.
Really?
Will you be
Yeah.
here during the year of the rat?
He's trying to get you a spot on their San Jose show, right?
Yeah, I'm trying. It's not San Jose, but it'd be whatever you want. Sacramento or San Francisco. You close to either one of those?
There's no Asians
I'm
there.
open to all location. I'm a professional entertainer, man.
Hell yeah. Well, I guess we'll talk after the show. We'll figure it out. We'll do some math situation.
We have a big San Francisco if you want to go to it.
Yeah,
It's over.
we'll throw you a spot. Big, yep.
I love the biggest one.
Hell yeah. That you and Aphrodite.
what
have
is with
something
all
in
the
common.
women and size queens on the show?
Wow.
I like to go to show where honor the blondie, blue-eyed white guy will be there.
What the fuck?
Damn.
Go to Scootin.
Wow.
You don't like big dicks, right?
Yeah,
No?
Yeah.
blondie.
Overrated, right? See?
Yeah.
See?
She likes her dick small and white, like a kernel of rice.
I only like blondie. And
Oh,
Dick don't matter.
you like round eye, huh?
Blonde hair, blue eyes. How about Slender Man? What do you think of him? Is he close
Dick
to?
too big. Dick too big.
How about the
No
fisherman?
buku, no buku.
Oh my god.
Dick too big.
Oh, it hurt. It hurt, man. All right, Nicole. Well, I mean, unbelievable performance all the way through and through. You're just absolutely hilarious.